fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing, brought to you in part by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Ray Marine Electronics, Ray Marine, simply superior. Fast Fender, the easiest way to attach and adjust your fender. Easy Docker, docking made easy. Can you hear that? I hear rapids in the background. I hear a little bit of wind. I hear birds on the far shore here. There is no noise pollution here. We're at Lac Beauchene. It's La Reserve Beauchene in Quebec. It's actually about, I'm going to say, a 4-hour drive from the GTA, the Toronto area. So it's perfect because you can drive up. We brought our Team Boats boat, which is nice, and it's docked up safely right in front of our cottage. And we're just about to go out, and one thing that I like, you know, they explain everything when you arrive at the lodge and all the regulations and rules and everything, but they give you this waterproof map, which is ideal. And what he's done, Tony, the manager here, actually put X's, so this is where our cabin is right here. You can see that Lake Beauchene is kind of separated by narrows. There's two sections of the lake. And some of the areas, which I'll show you in a minute, is like 200 feet deep in the main part of the lake where you can fish for lake trout. But look at what he's done. He's put little X's here, here. What those X's are not necessarily fishing spots. They're danger areas that they put markers on, so you can see all the places. Because when you're going along, you know, like in many lakes, especially Precambrian shield lakes, there's a lot of rock outcrops that are just below the surface. So it's nice to know where these are before you get there and know which way to run around the bottle so you don't get danger. Let me show you the most important part. If I flip the map over, voila. So this is the actual lake, and it shows you the depths. Remember I said that some places it's like 200 feet deep? Like look, we're located right here. That's the main lodge is right there. We're right on this point. And you can see that it's like 200 feet deep or deeper here. Same thing here, these holes. These are really good lake trout holes. And then what he's done, he's marked the areas where we should start fishing. So this is one of the bays right here where we should start. We'll be able to catch maybe smallmouth bass, maybe pike. Another area here, and also here. You can see I've got a W for walleye. Another spot to fish this bay, all the way down here. So from here to run down here is quite a distance. It's probably going to take us about, I'm guessing, half an hour. But we're going to start fishing very close to the lodge. Okay. Nice smallmouth. Nice head shake. Are you done, Mr. Bass? That's funny. Of all the lures I tried, it's that Ned rig. Come on, come on. There. Look, nice smallmouth. There, look it. Isn't that a beautiful smallmouth? It's a Quebec bass, right here at La Reserve Beauchene. Okay, you beautiful bass. Wow, that water's so clear. You know, it's been over 30 years since I've been here at La Reserve Beauchene in Quebec. It's a wonderful location because you can drive to it, and I have a new Team Boats boat that I wanted to trailer up, so I brought it up here. And they have a really nice launch facility. They have really nice docks to keep your boats. And it's only located about 4.5 hours north of the GTA. Now, Lake Beauchene is a very special place because when you fish or you stay on the main lake, you can actually access over 30 different smaller lakes for a variety of species of fish. Beautiful fish. Man, getting him on light gear like this, amazing. Get away from that wood. You can see here at Beauchene, there's wood everywhere on the bottom. I think that's where the smallmouth do a lot of feeding. Smallmouth love crayfish. But because the water's so clear, I've gone to a really finesse presentation. I'm using a Ned jig head with like a 3-inch, very small case plastic worm. This rod is so light that it's bending more than enabling me to get the fish up. Look it, hooked beautifully, just in the roof of the mouth. The hook should just pop out. Watch those guys on TV, they do this kind of thing. They go like that to knock it back out. Hey, it works, like those bass guys. Long, lean fish. What a gorgeous fish. I think this guy's got to do a little bit more feeding. Just gonna toss him out, and he should take off in a moment. You can see all the wood down there, watch. It's probably gonna go right down to that wood. The main Lake Beauchene, where I decided to do all of my fishing this week, is an oligotrophic lake. That means that it's got really deep water and it stratifies in the summertime. That means that the deeper water is very cold, the upper water column is warm, and then there's a strip in between that's called a thermocline, where it goes from warm to cold. And because of that, there's cold water fish in the lake, like whitefish and lake trout, but also walleye, pike, smallmouth bass. So it's a wonderful lake to fish, but early in the year, the lake is so cold that the first waters to warm up are the shoreline waters. And usually when we target fish like bass, walleye, and pike, we concentrate in fishing water less than 10 feet deep. Closed captioning is brought to you by K100. We make water burn. You know, when you're traveling, it's kind of hard to decide what you're going to take. But in this handy backpack carry bag, I've isolated the lures that I need, and I've got a couple of satchels and some other stuff, and I can rig whatever I need. I can carry it, haul it down from the cottage, and I can also have a nice selection. Because the water is so clear here at Lac Beauchene, and I've been told that the fish are very shallow, they're post-spawn, so they're all along the shorelines, I'm gonna rig up a Ned rig, okay? So a Ned rig is using this kind of weight right here. That's my jig head. You can see that it's kind of, it's not flat, but it's not round. So a Ned jig head is designed to stand up, just like that. So what I'm going to do is take that Ned jig, and I've got a whole bunch of Fishing Complete soft plastics, and I'm going to pre-rig them with some worms. So I've got, you can see here, there's, purple is really good for bass. I just don't know in this clear water how it's going to be doing. I have some of these zipper. You know, I might try that color right here on the Ned jig head. I'm going to take this zipper. This is actually one of the original zipper lures, and you can see that it's got a twister tail and it's got these ribs. So when you're casting it, actually air gets caught in between those ribs, and as you're pulling it through the water, the ribs release air. Now, because you can see this is a very short hook, I'm going to try it by using the whole soft plastic. I might cut off a little bit of it, so I'm just going to pinch that off like that so that it's flat, and I'm going to put it in. What'll happen too, those little ribs will make this drop slower, so it's going to stay in the strike zone. And you know, when you're dealing with shallow water fish, I'm expecting them to be as shallow as maybe, you know, 2 to 4 feet. This should work really good because it's going to have a slow descent rate. So it's going to look like, there's no gobies in this lake, but it might look like a crayfish to them or something. This is amazing. You know, I remember fishing here in the late 80s, early 90s, and the fishing is just as good, maybe even better, that you can just go and cast shorelines and get these beautiful smallmouth. And we just arrived today, you know, at around, I'm going to say 1 o'clock. By the time we got checked in, moved the stuff into our room, it was probably 2. By the time we came out, about 3. And this is just to kind of feel our way around the first day. Look at the size, the quality of the fish that we're getting. Beautiful. That guy got me by surprise. I actually felt him on because I had my head turned. Come on. Tell you what, I had to experiment to figure out which soft plastics they wanted in this clear water. And you can see how long my fluorocarbon leader is. It's about 4 feet long from there down. See if I can grab this guy without him getting off. Oh, beautiful smallmouth. Look at it. Gorgeous smallmouth, hooked right in the roof of the mouth. Tell you, I'm going through soft plastics. That one's all torn up again. They're such beautiful fish. Gorgeous fish. Okay, I'm just gonna hold him out a little bit. And there he goes. You know, when you're dealing with clear water conditions and they're colder, it's early in the year, and especially for fish like smallmouth bass that have very good eyesight, you have to go light on everything. So what I've got, these are the soft plastics that I'm using. Actually, I thought they were cased, they're made by Zipper. You can see the color. It's kind of, you know, subtle color. What they call it, is it a goby color? Baby bass. My friend's got a lure that he calls a baby bass that he really likes using. So this one's 4 inches long. So all I'm doing is taking my Ned jig head and I'm going to put it on here. I usually have the black, the dark part on top. So I'm going to hook it like this. On the Ned jig head, the hooks are very small. You'll see when I hook this up. So I've been missing a lot of fish because they grab the mid part or the back end. So you can see, there's the Ned jig head and you can see how flexible that worm is, right? You know, when you're using a finesse presentation, it really helps to use a limper rod and also to use lighter line. I still stuck with using a braided line, but I went down to 10-pound test braid, and I was using a 10-pound test or 12-pound test fluorocarbon leader. And some of the time the leader was up to 4 feet long, which is a little awkward to cast because even though I use a blood knot to connect my braid to my fluorocarbon, I don't like the blood knot going through the eyelet when I go to cast. So you have to really be careful on your back cast. If you have a windshield like we have a center console on the team boat, that you don't touch it. But the light line makes a really big difference. Number one, for casting distance, you can really fire 10-pound test braid far because it's like the diameter of 4-pound monofilament line, and it's so thin that the fish have a hard time seeing it, and especially with that fluorocarbon leader. I found that that really increased my castability and the amount of strikes that I got. Oh, nice jump. That's funny. We just pulled into a new spot and we could see all the wood in the water. There was no rocks, and then we're just coming up the shoreline, and I said, look at all the nice boulders and rocks down there. And I flip out that jig, and kabam. Now, the nice thing about the team boat is that you can sit on the gunwales or go anywhere around the boat. Look at this guy, demolished my worm again, but that's okay. I've got a few more. I'm using the Italian hook out. You know, you stick your finger in. Look at the models on that fish. Isn't he gorgeous? Beautiful. It's just a beautiful smallmouth. You know what? This water's so cold, they revive very quickly. Look at how gorgeous they are. And he's gone. Beautiful fish. Raymarine Electronics. Raymarine, simply superior. Partial jump. Oh! Actually, it's bigger than I thought. You know, when you use a lighter action rod, it amplifies the fight, which I love. Beautiful. I love seeing that zipper worm right in there yap. And now we're starting to get into that softer sun. Look it. Isn't that a gorgeous fish? That's probably a 17, 18 incher. I love their colors. Isn't that a gorgeous bass? I've gotten so many nice 17, 18 inch fish. They're beautiful. They got to be one of the hardest fighting fish in fresh water. They're just amazing. And with this nice sun going down, he's just going to disappear so quick though. Look at it. He even gave me a nice splash. Now, you know, one thing that I do whenever I'm using jigs, especially the Ned heads like this, can you see there that I'm using a loose knot? There's actually a loop in my line. And you know, I'm looking at this. I'm wondering, you know what? This knot got loose. So I'm going to have to retie it. It's good to check every once in a while. Smallmouth bass can venture into very shallow water to feed, or they can go really deep. I've been on lakes in Ontario where I have caught smallmouth bass on topwater lures in 4 feet of water. And when I brought them into the boat, they've regurgitated fresh smelts that they probably fed on in like 50 to 100 feet of water. So they can transition really quick from deep to shallow water. You know, it's nice when you can take a break from catching smallmouth bass and go into a quiet bay and target pike. And I still have my fluorocarbon leader from catching the smallmouths. And this isn't a huge pike, but on a little 1/4 ounce jig, they're lots of fun. And he's hooked just nicely, just in the corner of the mouth. Look at, is he gonna jump like a bass? Is he gonna throw the hook? Head shake. Look at, gorgeous northern. Look at the colors. Look at beautiful fins and stuff. You know, this guy is eating size. We're gonna let it go. I'd like to catch some pike that we can fry up later on. But this is, you know, we came into this bay looking for walleye because sometimes when you get early in the year, like in June, walleyes will be into like 7 to 10 feet of water in bays, mud bottom bays. But also there's a lot of pike. That's why we're not using leaders. What a gorgeous fish. I think they're a great game fish. Okay, let's get him back. And he's probably gonna disappear. Oh yeah, really quick. Now this is the minnow that's from Fishing Complete. And it's like a twister tail. That's why I thought we'd use it for the walleye. This one is about 3.5 inches long because he's got a twister tail, but it's got like a minnow body. Now look, if I drop it in the water, see that tail the way it kicks? But it has the profile of a bait fish. So when you jig it like this, look at the action. I'm doing it just below the surface so you can see it. But that's how we're fishing these. I think they're amazing. Look at, great action. No wonder they work so well. One of the big things that I like about smallmouth bass is the way they fight. Man, do they have power for their size. You can hook a 1.5 pound smallmouth, and if someone doesn't fish much, they'll think it's 3-4 pounds. First of all, they tug really hard, they go shake their head, go from side to side, and of course they come flying out of the water. Now this week, because the water's been cool, a lot of them were trying to jump and they would do like a tail dance going across the water 5-6 feet. And I'll tell you what, you better let them fight out, because if you try to land a smallmouth bass, especially with multiple hooks, like on a lure with trebles on it, you gotta be so careful when you go to grab it. And I avoided using the net for the most part. I very carefully grabbed them by the lower jaw, and I was putting them in the boat. And I could do that because most of the fish were hooked on single hooks. So they were very easy to handle and very easy to release. And because the water was cool, they were nice and healthy and just took off as soon as I put them in the water. Hey, I hear another boat, or boats. This is awesome. You know, it's nice the way they've got these structure spots marked. It's more for navigation so that you don't run into them with the boat. Because I was checking the sonar and we've got like great structure here. It's also a good spot to fish for smallmouth bass. Amazing in this clear water. Look at, gorgeous smallmouth. I saw that guy swimming around on this shoal and he was hunting. Beautiful. Nice fish. I think he's slowed down. Come on, come on. Open up. Don't get that hook in my hand. That's designed for you, Mr. Fish. He doesn't want to open his mouth. There we go. Wow, look at it. Is that a nice bass? This is amazing. Let me get that line off my head. Look at, what a gorgeous fish. Wow. Now look at this. Did he want that bait? I've got the line wrapped all around the fish here. Look at, even with that small Ned jig head, he was hooked just slightly. I think that's the trick, you know, to have that slow drop. And just to leave it on the bottom. Remember, it sits with the tail up in the air like that. Boy, this is amazing. Just gonna unwrap them. Look at, what a gorgeous smallmouth. You gotta admit, they're beautiful fish. You can see there's some algae on the water. That's okay, look at, oh man, they've got so much energy. Wow, you know, what a thrill. It's one thing when you're just casting to hook a fish, and I started this shoal, I cast it around the edges, then we saw the fish cruising real shallow. I don't know, the water looked like it was 3 feet deep. So I made a cast to it, and it came right over there, and I didn't know if, it looked like it was looking at it, And then it went for it, and I set the hook, and I missed it. And I'm like, oh man, I hope it doesn't spook. I cast further away from it, and it scooted over there and just grabbed it right in front of us. What a feeling. And the fight, I mean, look at the scenery. It's so peaceful here. It's amazing, look at. So wonderful to be here at Lac Beauchene in Quebec. Rod Runner Canada, grab and go fishing. You know, Lake Beauchene is a large lake. It's actually divided into two sections. And the one section, which is where La Reserve Beauchene, the actual lodge and the cottages are located, has water up to 200 or over 200 feet in depth. That's because it's a big, cold lake. And then there's another half, once you go through Narrows, where it's a little bit shallower. It's still deep, but more shallower water. The one thing, though, if you're coming up here for the first time, really pay attention to the map that they give you at the lodge, because they've got all the bottles. They show where the bottles are in the lake, where the shoals are. See if I can lift him in like those guys on TV. Big bend on the rod. There. Hooked lightly again, which is good. I don't want to drop him in the boat. Lose points. There, look. Nice smallmouth. Look at that sheen. We've got an afternoon sun, so look at, that's a gorgeous fish. 1.5 pounds, but you know what? I could catch these all day long. Mr. Smallmouth, there you go. You know, here at La Reserve Beauchene, they have a beautiful main building where there's a large dining hall and there's also a kitchen. Then they have a nice office area where you go in and check in and everything. They have beautiful cabins. And one thing that I really like about La Reserve Beauchene is the cabins are far apart. They're on 50,000 acres of land, so they got lots of land. And Lake Beauchene, the main lake, has a lot of cabins on it, but they're far apart. So once you check in, we drove probably 1 kilometer to get to our lodge, or to get to our cabin from the lodge, and it was wonderful accommodations. You can also stay at outpost camps. They have lots of lakes that you can either stay on the lake or you can drive to daily if you want, and they have boats there. Some you access by ATVs, others by 4-wheel drive. So if you like variety in an outdoor adventure, La Reserve Beauchene is really the place. Canadian Sport Fishing, brought to you in part by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Ray Marine Electronics, Ray Marine, simply superior. Fast Fender, the easiest way to attach and adjust your fender. Easy Docker, docking made easy. But I'm going to go back and fish the shoreline. It's a nice rocky shoreline. So what we've got here is a point coming out, wood everywhere. It's a silt bottom. And I'm just peppering the shoreline and just feeling for the hit. Because usually when fish, especially like bass, smallmouth and largemouth, pick up a finesse bait like this,